The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
I think it is the existential threat to humanity.
You know that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? It's today.
No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change.
Great news, because the Obamas
are officially Martha's Vineyard residents. They just bought a 6,900 square foot home for $11.75 million.
And here's the Bidens' beach house in Rehoboth Beach. Clearly, they don't think the coast will be underwater. What's the point of this racket? It's to exploit the politics of fear, to get us to agree to things that we wouldn't otherwise. Just like with coronavirus.
What's the opportunity, to your question, for reimagining a more progressive era as it relates to capitalism?
Only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? I think a lot of people should just say, no, we're not going back to that.
The best thing going for the socialist agenda is the moral anxiety about capitalism. Does capitalism allocate rewards fairly? The uniqueness of capitalism is that it's based on entrepreneurs who take chances. The test case we've chosen just happens to be the President of the United States. For most of his career, he was the quintessential capitalist. The entrepreneur's psychology is different than most. You can see this from an incident in the 1990s when Trump was deeply in debt.
Anything else? There you go, sir. God bless.
Isn't that just so sad?
He's a beggar, but he's worth about 900 million more than me.
The deepest critique of what capitalists actually do comes from Marx. In his view, capitalists supply only capital. Other than that, they do nothing. Therefore, a company's profits belong entirely to its workers. Is Marx right? Let's consider one of Trump's earliest deals. The starting point of Donald Trump's career, he writes in his best-known book, The Art of the Deal, was his realization of his own ambition.
My father did very well building low-income buildings in Queens and Brooklyn, but I didn't want to be in the same business as him. I wanted Manhattan. I was out to build something monumental. This was the 70s, and the city was in the dumps. But where people saw crisis, I saw opportunity. I knew of 4 hotels for sale. The 4th was in big trouble. The Commodore Hotel had been losing money for years. Nobody wanted to touch it. But I saw a superb location. Millions of affluent people pass by the location every day. The problem was the hotel, not the location. Because the hotel was a loser, I was able to negotiate the price down to $10 million. At 27, did I have 10 million? No. Did I know how to run a hotel? No, but I had a vision. With my option to buy the Commodore in hand, which didn't cost me a cent, I sold my vision to Hyatt. I'd build it, they'd run it. Now that I had the option and the top hotel chain in the country, it was time to find the money for the hotel and the renovations. I went to my father. He refused to believe I was serious. So, with my option to buy the Commodore, I went to the banks, many of them. People fought me on the renovation, saying we could save millions by just refurbishing the old Commodore. But why put lipstick on a pig? No, this place needs to be an event. I even got pushback on replacing the historical brick with highly reflective glass. By choosing this class, I've created 4 walls of mirrors. Now, when you go across 42nd Street and look up at the Grand Hyatt, you see Grand Central, the Chrysler Building, and all the other landmarks this city has to offer. New York City, the Hyatt, then banks, and myself all benefited from my deal.
What's the drive, Donald, that you don't have to do this anymore, that keeps you wanting to build more and more?
It's a creative process, Larry, and it really gives you something to do with your life, and it's something that you can feel fulfilled and proud of when you're finished, if you do a good job.
So the one thing that Marx said capitalists provide, namely capital, they typically don't provide. The other things that capitalists do provide, vision, organization, assumption of risk, marketing, Marx ignored completely.
No one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion.
The most successful entrepreneurs don't just supply wants and needs, they anticipate them. Nobody wrote a letter to Steve Jobs telling him to make a phone that would do email and take photographs, play music, and show movies. He invented it and built it before we knew we couldn't live without it. This is capitalism's trump card. It encourages creativity and empathy and then puts them at the service of the wants and needs of people. The inequality the socialist left despises isn't created by entrepreneurs. It's created by us. The proud boast of democratic socialism is that it puts the people in charge of the economy. What control do you have over the post office or the DMV? We vote in elections every 2 or 4 years, but as consumers, we exercise our choices daily, directly through the market. The free market is far more reflective of popular consent than democratic socialism. We don't have to extend democracy from the political to the economic sphere because we already have it. Capitalism, not socialism, is the true form of social justice.